Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, it works. Hello, I'm guessing you have already read the title of this video, and there is a few things that I do want to talk about as well. And this is not going to be an ordinary video where I play some Fortnite or anything like that. Like, this is a proper mental health video. I don't really want to put that in the name because doesn't have to be, you know, but if you've read the title already, it's true. I've not enjoyed 2024 as much as I thought I would entering the year, but now when we're almost at the end of it, there's like a month left, a month and a half left of 2024 when this was uploaded at least. First thing I want to say is that there's been a lot of allegations going around me, which I do not want to bring up here on YouTube. If you want to find out, contact me on my Discord or my Snapchat, or maybe even on TikTok. I can leave some links in the description if that's the case. I believe it was today. Well, for you guys, it's yesterday because this will be uploaded on the 15th. But I think yesterday was the day I've got the call that completely changed the way I like see the world and the way I think and stuff like that. Because I think ever since spring ended in 2024, I've never been able to be like properly happy, which is understandable if you've known me for the journey. If you haven't, I'll try and explain it later. There's a video Jacksepticeye uploaded about 2 or 3 days ago, which I want to react to while I have you guys with me, so that way I can also add some comments on my experiences and what I've done wrong or the way I've seen things. So I'm going to do this. I want to have a bit of a bigger face cam for this video, so you guys can see my reactions the way they are as well. This is the exact thing I feel, this video right here, the worst time of my life. Which is why the video, the worst year of 2024, the worst year of my life, fits this title. We're going to react to this video now together. We'll hear what Jack has to say, and then what I have to say to you guys as well, and add some comments and everything, so you can understand a bit more on my mental health or whatever. You guys will understand better when we get into it. Anyways, here we go.
I wanted to come on here and talk a bit more about mental health and specifically some of the struggles that I've gone through in my life as a person, because we have Thankmas coming up on December 6th. Tickets are on sale. You can go get them. And that's partly why I'm here, is to try and promote that and sell more tickets and get more people in and raise more awareness for it so we can raise more money.
Everybody
for charity.
go
But also,
and subscribe
I wanted
to that.
open up the conversation about mental health a bit more and share some of the stuff that I've been through. A lot of times people see other people in positions of success and they think that, oh, they must have it all, or they've achieved success, and I'm struggling quite a bit. But I think a lot of people come to me.
I think that's one of the problems that I've had a bit, is when I grew famous on TikTok back in 2021 or 2022, either one of those years. I remember like seeing that, like, oh, you guys, you are everywhere. Your dreams have been achieved. And I remember my brother called me to congratulate me on 20,000 followers, I believe it was. And that was, it felt good for the first week or two, and then after that, it kind of collapsed because there's always gonna be this quote with the price of fame. You're always gonna get hate, no matter how small or big you are as a creator. Anyway, you are going to get hate. Now, personally, for myself, I've learned to handle that pretty well anyway. With all this shit that is going around, it just seems like I don't care anymore about what's going on, which in some circumstances that is true anyway, even though I don't really want to admit it, if I'm going to be honest. So if I ever tell you that I am fine, like I'm doing well and everything, that's not always the case, excuse me. But it's the way I want it to be okay, even though it isn't okay. Which is why I just never really show it to people. Whenever I'm around people now, I always try to be happy and do what I do.
I think a lot of people come to me with their stories about their lives because I've talked about the struggles that I've been through in my life. I don't know, maybe encourage other people to kind of talk about their own struggles, not only in the comments of this video, feel free to vent all you want. Like other YouTubers and other people of influence and other people who are in these positions where I think talking about mental health can have huge knock-on effects positively for people.
That's a fact, and I've realized that during this year is that I've opened up a lot more about my problems, and those knock effects you get by opening up about your problems, they are most guaranteed going to be positive. I've talked a lot with my mother. I've talked a lot with Ted and Eddie, and they have helped me so much through my struggles. To very small struggles, such as not finding something or the mod isn't working, to bigger problems that is my operation coming up. I have an operation with my teeth, basically, because well, they're more fucked up than they should be. So I'm going to operate my entire like skull and everything, which is going to give me a brand new appearance, which I'm very scared of because most of the hate I have been getting on TikTok is because of my looks. It's always like, oh, your eyebrows are too far together. How can that nose not get any bigger? Or your face is rectangular and everything like that. There's probably going to be comments on this video as well saying like, you have like a big nose or anything, which is fine because I've got it so much now that it comes to the point where I don't care, which is a negative impact because that ruins self-confidence and everything like that, which takes time to build up, which I have been able to do, thankfully. But yeah, it's just going to be negatively affecting for something that can then turn out positively, which is not a good thing, really. So yeah,
vulnerable, who are able to be open and transparent and honest and talk about the stuff they've been through, but not really let it define who they are as people.
That's sort of what I've been doing, is that I have opened up and talked what I've been through. It hasn't really defined who I am, but it has definitely changed my personality, which in negative and positive ways. Mostly it has been negative, I can open up and say that, and I just feel like if I could talk to more people that sort of share the same struggles is a good thing, because like if you are struggling with anything, just talk to one of your best friends, DM someone, call someone. You can message me again on TikTok or anything. Links is in the description if you feel like it. Because if you open up to people more about it, it lets you go with the struggles in the mind and your thought process of receiving negative stuff in your life, which it helps a lot to just contact somebody.
I try and live my life that way as well. I've been going to therapy now for the last 2 years very frequently, like at least once a week, and
I've been to therapy a few times too.
Huge influence on me as a person, and trying to view myself differently and trying to go easier on myself and a lot of the struggles that I've been through. In 2017, I talked about having the worst year of my life and having some of the biggest mental health struggles that I've ever had. And I think mainly I started getting my confidence sort of shook because of different things that had happened that year publicly. In like 2014 to 2016, I think that was probably the biggest years of my career in terms of like growth, relevance, people tuning in, the amount of people who were just so enamored with the Jacksepticeye channel and would just do anything to watch it. And
that's the thing that happens as well, is that when you begin to grow on a certain platform or anything, is that you want to keep pushing it harder, like you want to make people happy. In my case, I would believe that my biggest year was 2022, 2023 on YouTube, and was definitely 2021 and 2022 on TikTok. Yeah, the thing is that you want to work harder, make your videos better, that it really burns you out in a way. Not like to the point where you do feel stress, or you feel defeated in a way and whatnot, which I've learned to overcome at this point. I've taken breaks, of course. I'm back on YouTube now after like 6 months with um a lower upload schedule, but better quality in some ways.
2017, I felt like a lot of stuff was starting to shift, and I personally didn't really know what I was doing and where I was going, and I struggled a lot with my identity. I realized that I was doing YouTube so vigorously for so long that I was starting to get a bit burnt out in it, and I needed to take some more breaks for myself. But in taking breaks, you stop the treadmill that you've been on. But for me as a person, I didn't really know how to deal with any of that. I didn't know how to take breaks. I didn't know where I fit in the YouTube landscape anymore, and I was pushing myself through a lot of stuff to just do. I was just doing, and I wasn't happy.
And that's the thing, like when you have those golden years, is that like when you take your first break after having a certain upload schedule, that's like a good long break. People begin to wonder like where you've been, and you don't want to watch them and anything. Burnt out thing come. I remember when I was starting YouTube in 2018, in the mid 2018 and late 2018, I just decided like this is gonna be the upload schedule, and that was to post like I think 8 videos a week, which is a lot of videos. And I did that for about a year and a half straight. But then it also became a lot of like, I don't know what I should make a video on. I didn't have ideas for what videos should be. My only goal was set to post a video on whatever and just let it fly. Pretty
Happy with my life. I was in a relationship that I wasn't happy with, that was very bad for my mental health.
I've been there.
It's done. That relationship's over. We can move on. I want to be able to talk about things openly without people having to start throwing stones in my defense in any different direction. That's not what this community's ever been about. There was a lot of stuff like that where being in a relationship that was bad for me mentally, being in a position that I was in career-wise that was kind of bad for me mentally, sort of forcing my way through things without thinking. That was the first time where I ever had to like wrestle with who I was. And
I've had that too in previous relationships where things go bad for the community itself, but also on your self mental thinking and feels and stuff like that. Because I remember when I broke up with my first girlfriend, which has appeared on the channel way back, because I don't want to remove those videos. Those videos are in like the golden prime anyway, even though the people themselves aren't necessarily good. But that is when you begin to like sort of fight yourself, which could be like, do you want to feel good and potentially have the bad dragging that down, or are you going to let go and see if you can become happier? And that's some of the decisions you make there really tangle yourself as a person. It really does.
I'm such a people pleaser person that when any sort of dissent comes my way, I have like younger child, neglectful parent, rejection sensitivity. My barriers go up. I start making jokes. I try and figure out why people don't like me, and I have a really hard, or at least I used to have a much harder time with people not liking me. And in 2017, a lot of that came to a head where at the end of the year during Christmas, I was alone. Purposefully, like I could have been around more people if I wanted to be, but I wanted to figure out like, okay, end of the year, I want to know who I am and what I'm doing, and I want to be by myself, and I just want to think and figure things out. I remember especially over the Christmas period, that's usually the time when people are together more, and I wanted to see if I could weather that alone, because I realized that I never really tried to be by myself more and kind of like treat myself as a friend. I had never done that before, and like sit by yourself and your own thoughts and see what they were actually saying to you.
That's one of the things I've done quite recently as well, is that I try to hang out less with people and treat myself as like a friend as well, and what Jack said, because alone time, it can be both bad and good, but you will begin to realize quickly after a while that if being alone really helps you, or if it just kills your like happiness or whatnot. Because for me, it's been varying that way. Like, do I want to hang out with friends, or do I want to be alone and everything? Because I remember on New Year's Eve 2022 to 2023, or was it 2021 to 2022? I do not quite remember. But that year, a little part of my family had corona. It was me, my mother, and Tommy. We all had corona, so I was spending New Year's Eve alone without partying the way I've used to, like meeting up with 30 plus people, firing rockets, making jokes, and having fun. That's the first time as a younger self because it was only about 11, 12 years old at the time. Without my mind being fully developed, which it still is, but like it hits you harder doing those things at a younger age because you're not used to it. Like for you, that isn't normal. And that was like one of the first times I've also experienced the super lonely era where things aren't classified as normal anymore. I can handle them now, yes, but back then it was a lot harder.
And other people, that was probably the roughest time ever because I was trying to fill my time with games and I was playing a lot of Persona 5, which, great game, by the way. I was playing that at one point and I just paused it and I was kind of like sitting there and I bawled my eyes out. I didn't know if people even cared about me. I started thinking about suicide for the first time in my life. Like, I thought about the act of doing it and everything. And
I've been there as well. It's like when things... I'll bring up my story today. So what happened today is that Thea called me. She's been in one single stream, which is when I returned it to YouTube this year. Is that Thea? She called me today while I was at work. I had about an hour and 15 minutes left to work, and she called me, and I went out of the building because her friend answered and was like, "Yeah, I have a few questions, and can you answer them?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can." And she goes down this thing that happened when she was here, because we had a plan that's that she would come down here, stay here for a few days. We would have fun and party and everything like that. The first hit I took then is when she came down here. Is that she told me some things which I should have accepted better, but didn't at the time as well, because my brain has evolved. I don't know if that's the correct word, but it has like evolved the greatest extent over a short period anyway. So after she told me that, I was devastated. I don't want to say what she told because it's not allowed on YouTube. But basically, she told me that this is not and this is not, but this is, which hurt a lot on me, even though it shouldn't have been that way. Because there's a thing is that like when you like a person a lot and they don't like you back, with that sort of feedback, I want to say is the correct word. It takes a lot on you. So when her friend called today, she was like, "Oh, Thea told me that this weren't supposed to be, but it happened anyway. Like, could you explain why?" And I explained that, like, when you're partying and you've taken a few shots and whatnot, it's like you think a lot differently in a persona, which when you're sober, it's actually really hard to explain in a way, which I wasn't thinking about straight. And then her friend, at the end of that conversation, her friend hits me with the hardest words that I've accepted to date, which is, "Oh, Thea can't trust you anymore, and she may or may not be coming to your place ever again," which hit me extremely hard because, as I said, when you really like a person, you do want to be around them. And Thea, if you are watching this, I severely do actually apologize because I've thought about it every day. Ever since it happened, I've thought about it every day, and I've been having lots of regrets, sad moments, and everything. And like after that conversation, I just told my leader that I couldn't work anymore, and I went home and I bawled my eyes out as well. It was a literal fountain just running down me, and thankfully my mother was there, so I could talk it through a little bit. And Eddie was also there, not with me, but on the phone. And then Theodore came, and that ended after about an hour of me being extremely sad because like it's the time it's that time where you hear things you don't want to hear, and it hurts you a lot. And that's like one of the few things that I experienced to date.
like the first time that that's ever happened, I realized that something's wrong. That I didn't really entertain that for that long, but it was the first time in my life where I was like, would people even miss me if I was gone?
Yeah, I've had that thought too. Today I had suicide thoughts. I was like, there's no point of this. Like, I fucked it up with my friends. I fucked it up with Thea. No one doesn't care because I've been awful and everything. And I had thoughts about running down in the middle of the night today and taking my life because no one would really care that much. Which thankfully I didn't because Theodore was here, helped me out a lot, and it has saved me.
And that sort of set off alarm bells in my head that that wasn't normal for me. I'd never really thought that as seriously as that before. So that was where the sort of PMA stuff was born from in all of 2018, because that was going to be my mantra, to kind of treat myself better, not sweat smaller things, and try and be a bit more positive towards myself. But I wanted to have sort of a mantra
positive
for myself to kind of like help me get through the day and be a bit more optimistic about things, because it's easy to sort of dwell in that negative space and then not know what to do with it. And I definitely got to like my rock bottom. After that,
when you have experienced that rock bottom part, it's really easy to fall back into it, which is why I'm doing pretty much the same thing. I try to think a bit more positive, and I think about what's best for me, because if I do figure out what is best for me, then why do something that sounds better, but in reality it isn't. Is that when you begin to dwell a bit around that thing, it's like your negativity will come back, sort of, and I try to just hide that away, even though I shouldn't. If the case comes where I hit rock bottom again, I'll probably let you guys know, and I'll probably call some of my friends as well, because it's pretty easy to forget. Like, as of right now, when I'm recording this video, I'm still extremely sad about the things that have happened today. It's not only the thing with Thea. There's been a lot of other smaller things that I dwell over. And that's where the negativity part hits you, because the more negativity you engrowth on yourself, the worse you can, like, feel. Because the thing is, like, when that call with Thea came, I could have just been, like, oh, well, that's her fault, which is clearly isn't, because I was the one in the wrong in that case, which I learned later, because at the time, it seemed, at the time where the incident occurred, is like, it would feel the correct thing to do. But I realized after that, oh no, it is not. Which at first it can be taken differently. Obviously, if you guys think this is about like something sexual, it is sort of, or is it? I don't think it is, but it can be. If you were here, it could be taken as a sexual thing, even though it's not, because at the time I didn't realize until after, and I still have regrets and horrible thoughts about it, to this day. I've also grown a stutter, in case you guys can't tell.
I really made a concerted effort to kind of like figure myself out and to work on myself and to try and go easier on myself. Didn't work. It wasn't until probably last year or this year that I feel like I finally started cutting myself some slack. I've got a much better, healthier relationship with my channel and my work. We have some people that we can hang out with, like PJ and Sophie are always around as good friends. But I used to have so many more friends who lived in Brighton, and now they all kind of moved away, which again is fine. They're allowed to do that. But I realized how lonely I started to get, and I watched a video one time talking about like male loneliness in your 30s. And apparently that's a big thing for a lot of men when they hit 30, to kind of like reevaluate their lives. And for me, it definitely was a case of figuring out where I fit in things. Some friendships that I had weren't what I thought they were. They weren't as good as I thought they were. And
I've been there as well, is that some friend relationships turn out great, and it's fine with that. I've been friends with a few friends as well that they all still live in Sweden. One of them has moved away, and another one's have moved up in the country. And that's when I also started to feel like I'm going to be lonely here. I have a lot of new friends as well, and that are still around, but that constant thought is always in the back of your head, hitting you every now and then. When you're in that negative space, it always hits you like, are they really the same? Which it is totally not, but it's still great hanging out with them. It's just that the OG gang is like never going to be together again. Which they still are, at least some of them, which I'm very grateful for.
Felt sort of discarded and devalued as a person. And I'm also someone who will put the blame entirely on myself for that.
Yeah, I'm also that sort of person. Like, if anything happens, like if there's like an argument going around with my friends, I could still be like, oh, my fault, like I fucked that up, which sometimes that is not the case, but it has this circle, like once you started doing it, it's hard to kind of come out of it. I try very hard thinking about it, which has helped me a lot, but like about a year or two ago, if something happened, I would blame that on myself. Like if if Theodore broke up with her girlfriend, I would be like, oh, I'm so sorry for telling you to do this or whatever it could be, because I always feel like I'm the one to blame because I've been involved in certain parts of that relationship, which wasn't even on me. But that's just the way I take things.
Trying to like keep friendships that are online only is very difficult for me because I just don't like doing that. I need that face-to-face personal connection. I
I'm
think
the
going through
exact same.
COVID, there was a lot of people who were going through the same situation where they were all locked inside and we couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh, we're all sort of going through the same thing, and it made it a bit easier. But after that, when the world started opening up again and everyone was hanging out with each other again, I kind of like sat around and I'm like, I don't have that many like close.
Yeah, that also hit me. Is like when you're all locked up inside. It also turned out for me that there are people out there that doesn't value me as much, or at least so I thought when COVID hit, which you shouldn't be thinking. Which is that didn't ring any
Kind of like,
oh that didn't ring any alarms in my head at the time. It does now, but at the time, I always was like, "Is there? What am I doing wrong, or what is wrong with me? Like, am I ugly for them, or like, have I insulted them or anything?" Because I always thought that once people start leaving, there's always gonna be something with me, and I'm the wrong one. So during COVID, when we were going through the same thing, I didn't have that space, and then when it all opened up, and the same people wasn't around, that's when I kind of started thinking more about like what have I done wrong and stuff like that. As I just said. But today I would more think of it as they have figured other things out that I didn't at the time, and that they just want to go on and have happy again because that's just the way that it's going to be. I might be not I might not be the correct person for them to like relocate themselves and find themselves again after this big lockdown was just thrown upon the world out of nowhere.
like lean on to talk to people. And that kind of scared me because then I like lean more into YouTube and you guys as an audience. And that's also not that healthy for me to do. And I still kind of struggle with it. I get pretty lonely like very often.
Same.
And I've started to like notice some of the patterns in like the relationships I have with other men, and the kind of like I'm kind of like still seeking out big brothers because I feel like my brothers weren't really there for me as much as I wanted when I was younger, or like I'm a
Yeah, about that is that my oldest brother. Yeah, he is my oldest brother. I just have to double check in my head. My oldest brother, named Kenny, isn't around anymore, which is a bit of which is like it's a negative part in my end because I really like him for the person he is. He's done a lot of wrong stuff, which I'm not going to bring up here, but I still enjoy hanging with him because he is the person that can make me feel like valued and the person that is special whenever I'm with him, and that's like one of the few things I found funny with him, and just enjoy being with him in general. And when I start looking into that, I've noticed a pattern recently in my health is that like because I've had a pattern now recently where I begin being naturally and a bit down. Obviously, I plan something and I think it through, and then once I've gotten happy and I'm getting happier and happier and happier, there's always going to be one thing to ruin it all, and I'm going back down, and I'm down, being sad, bawling my eyes out, crying like hell, and everything. That's happened a lot during this year, and I mean a lot this year. Where I sort of have that pattern, and I don't really know how to break out of it either because I don't find anything like interesting anymore in life, and I don't value life as good as I probably should because there's nothing that really interests me in the way I should be or the things I do anymore, which it's not a good thing. But when you don't have passion for anything, it's really hard to find new things that you will do. But I've heard this quote, which have said that if you're feeling down, try something new, and it's almost a guarantee that you will enjoy it, which is what I'm gonna try and do. even though I have these like insecure problems of this and this and that it keeps hitting me constantly.
Person who really likes connecting with other people, but I don't have much opportunity to do that in the position that I'm in, like here where I live now. And it takes quite a considerable amount of effort to make it happen, which is also energy that I don't have most of the time, because if you're depressed and you have ADHD, your brain is not really working the way you want it to. I'm also getting a test for autism next week because I'm pretty sure I'm also autistic, which makes it harder for me to kind of like retain friendship.
I'm getting an ADHD test as we speak. I've been talking with a few people that are like specialist doctors, and I've sent in a few answers and stuff like that, and I will meet them, I think, next week as well, to see if I have ADHD, because I also feel like my brain isn't working the way it should, and I have these like mood swings that are insane, which could be the reason I'm thinking the way I am and why I'm so sad all the time and angry and whatnot, because happiness is the one feeling I can't like express as good, or I can't be happy as much as I am sad, for an example, which is why I think I have ADHD, or there is just something wrong in my life that I haven't figured out yet.
Because it could be ADHD as well, but I also feel like I'm a very like out of sight, out of mind, and then it's difficult to describe, but it's a lot of the stuff that I'm doing work on myself for. But in the last couple of years, I've opened up some wounds that I didn't know were there, and I've picked at some scabs emotionally to try and like get to the depths of why I feel certain things and why I am the way I am. And it's been quite uncomfortable to do that. And sometimes...
Yeah, it is uncomfortable leaving the comfort zone, because most people tend to think that it is easier to just pile it all up, which I can guarantee it is not. If you need to talk about something, or this feels uncomfortable, or this is wrong and whatnot, you should definitely talk about it, as long as you don't ruin other people's view of you that way. That can definitely depend on what it is. If you know, you know. It's difficult to explain in the moment.
I left therapy 2 weeks ago, and I was talking about a particularly difficult subject, which again is also difficult for me because sometimes I can't talk about the things publicly because will start turning into something that I don't want it to. And it's very difficult for me to not be able to like be honest and not be truthful and not kind of like speak my mind when I'm kind of like, I have to put the safety on.
Yeah, I have that sort of thing too. There's like when you get into difficult times, it's really hard for me to speak out about it and maybe not be fully honest on the way I feel. The only person I've really been extremely openable to is my mother, because I know she won't judge me for the person that I am. Or at least I hope so. I don't think it is that way, but could be.
I have a difficult time with that. It's also something I'm trying to like learn to deal with. But when I left therapy like 2 weeks ago, I left and I was like, I think that was a good session. We talked about a lot of good stuff, and I just left and met up with Evelyn afterwards, and I just bawled my eyes out. And it was just like such a release that I like said stuff that I didn't.
I remember when I went to therapy the first time was probably the most difficult, because I didn't really want to open up to other people on how I feel, because for me it just was like they don't care, like they have other things to do, like I'm wasting their time and whatnot, which definitely wasn't, because their job is basically to listen to you. But yeah, after I did that, I just went home with my mother and I cried my eyes out and just ran in my room crying like hell, because even though we opened up a lot of good things and a lot of good sessions, I felt for me that I don't want to do this with other people, because they are going to judge me for the way I've been or the way I feel, which I really hope they don't do, which I don't think they do either, but that's just the way I was first time I went to therapy back in late 2023 it was.
Really say out loud before. It just felt really healthy to do that. Like you have to go through a lot of the difficult stuff to kind of come out the other side a bit better.
Go through the difficult stuff and you will end up in a better place.
And I'm not saying any of this stuff to sort of paint myself in a victim light, or I'm not trying to like put pity on myself or anything. I think anybody that's watched me for any length of time knows that I don't view myself that way or try not to. I'm talking about this because I'm trying to be as vulnerable as I can be. Show myself warts, blisters and all. I still have a hard time with myself mentally 24/7. My brain is always working, trying to figure out what other people are thinking, overanalyzing other people, overanalyzing myself, picking up everything in my environment all around me.
I've also done those that I overthink a lot. My brain can't stop working. As I came to is that when Thea was down here, for an example, the time she left, my mind was constantly on many things, but it was always like trying to refocus. Like, what could I have done different here? Was she really happy when I told her this? Is partying like the way to go? Like, does she really want to? Is she just saying that? There's a lot of things that just what keeps my mind working all the time, which is why I have a horrible time falling asleep. The way I've been falling asleep recently is that I open up the laptop that I've got, and I play music or YouTube videos, anything, to just listen that through. These are videos I've watched before as well, just stayed on repeat, pretty much. Not the same videos every time, but it's videos I've watched before that I just lay on repeat, so that way I can sort of feel like, oh yeah, now this is happening. It's this video and whatnot, to just sort of cancel out all the thoughts, which have helped me sleep ever so slightly better, because whenever I go to bed, my brain is working on so many things. It could be anything from, again, Thea. It could be like, is Thea really happy with this? Or it could be like, is Thea really available this day? I overthink and I overanalyze every scenario, and I try to think, like, is this wrong or was that wrong? Like, very minuscule things that could turn out different. In my perspective, that is.
All the time. Again, another reason why I'm getting checked for autism. My brain is just so busy all the time that most of the time I have a hard time just getting through the day. As
Same.
Healthy as I'm trying to be, and as much better as I am now compared to what I was a few years ago, it's still a struggle. But I've just gotten better at now kind of like knowing my boundaries and my limits, where I can sort of pump the brakes, take some time for myself, and just level out. I can wake up someday and be like, I don't want to work today. Not everybody has that. It's very, very difficult to...
I'm also very, very, very fortunate and lucky that I have this sort of work ethic that I do, is that I don't have to work with YouTube if I don't want to. YouTube is a thing I want to work with, but it's also a thing I try to, like, minimize, to the fact where I don't, like, overwork it and don't overdo, which is the reason I'm doing this video, because I feel like it will help me get through, and a lot of people watching will probably understand the way I feel a lot more, which is sad pretty often about various things. Some people may look at it as boring small things, other people may look at it as bigger things, like it could be the cause to why you're like this and whatnot. Feel completely free to comment down below if that's the case. But yeah.
Like, in this day and age, with everything that's going on, the amount of war that's happening in the world, with the amount of election turmoil that's been happening, it feels very difficult to kind of like get through your day without being anxious these days.
Yes.
At least for me.
Oh, Jack, I've got the same problem as that. I'm also extremely anxious all the time for various things. Comes like, if I'm going to a party, I could, my brain, again, I'm anxious and scared that there might be people here that hate me. These people might not enjoy me for who I am. I always think that way because I can't get through the day without feeling stressed most of the time, which isn't a good thing, which is why I've tried to like lay back a bit more. As I said earlier, I also reconnect with a lot of things, or a lot of sentences, which I just realized now in the part of the video. This video is, although very lengthy, so there could be things that I do forget, of course.
To not have that be a thing, but it's just so difficult. I also wanted to say this kind of stuff to relate to other people a bit more. Just to anybody out there who is going through mental health difficulties. And what did it say? In like 1/8 of the world has it, and the way the world is designed, and the way the internet is designed, and the way algorithms are designed, and social media and everything, it's just really hard to not find yourself wading into negativity without realizing you're in it.
That's the thing I was leaning towards earlier, is that if you're already down and you're already feeling horrible, there's just this continuous weight in the back of your head, where it's like, when is the next negativity bomb going to drop. For me, it was today, and the other one was about 3 days ago. So yeah.
So I just wanted to do this video to kind of like air it all out, say it's okay.
That's basically what I'm also doing, is that I'm making this video to air out to all the people and to just breathe myself out as well for that reason, which is like, it's okay to be sad. Like, it's okay. If you're going through various stuff, just talk about it. If you're like me, you can make a video about it and get it out at least as good as you can. And just, yeah.
It's fine. You're allowed to go through mental health struggles. It's okay to.
Because it is fine. Like, you are allowed to go through mental health struggles. It's okay to just, like, it's okay to do that.
Take breaks and time for. Find yourself wading into negativity without realizing you're in it. So I just wanted to do this video to kind of like air it all out.
Yeah.
Say it's okay. It's fine. You're allowed to go through mental health struggles. It's okay to take breaks and time for yourself.
Yeah, you said that.
It's not selfish. You would be shocked to know how many people are going through the exact same situation as you. There's stuff that I've never really talked about
That's
publicly,
a thing I can't
guess
really
it's
imagine
a good
yet.
time to kind of like mention some things like being in a household that had alcoholism rampant in it. The talk of suicide, the act of suicide, has been around in my family and my town and people I've known. Not only that, but having people in my family point guns at each other and say that they're going to kill someone and then take their own life is something that I thought was so specific to me, and talking about it at therapy and kind of like opening up a bit more about these kinds of things, you realize that, no, it may be a bit more unique, but other people have gone through very, very similar things in their lives. And it feels good, at least to me, knowing that you're not alone, that you're not broken, that there's something not inherently completely wrong
you're
with
never
you
alone with your struggles.
that other people will never understand, because they will. There's tons and tons and tons of people, unfortunately, who are going through other stuff as well, but who can understand what you're going through. And especially organizations like Samaritans and Crisis Text Line, they're also there for you if you need help.
If you live most parts of Europe, just call Samaritans, Crisis Text Lines, the suicide help, whatever you need. Here in Sweden, we have this thing called BRIS, or BRIS, which you're always allowed to call. In English, you're always allowed to call them if you need to talk your brains out on whatever the hell you want. In Swedish, det är okej att ringa dit liksom och bara prata ut dig om vad fan du behöver prata ut om. Och bara liksom säga hur du mår och allt sånt där. Det är helt okej att gå dit. You can just call them whatever the hell you want. And let them know about your struggles. And you can call anonymously, so they don't even know who you are. You don't have to say your name as long as you get to talk yourself out.
If you feel like there's no one to turn to, they have qualified people who can talk you through situations, and you may think, oh, I don't want to bother them. Oh, what I'm going through is not as bad as somebody else. Just please do it. If you feel like you need someone to talk to, there is someone out there that can listen, and that's why we're doing it. It feels like mental health is sort of the backbone of society and community, and it feels like it's being pulled at the seams right now. It feels like the threads are being undone. I'm trying to do something that reinforces the fact that there is positivity still out there, that we can battle through it, that we can wade through the problems of the world. And I've always said it, despite how difficult it may seem, that positivity and progress will always happen under the surface anyway. And I still hold that true. I still think that that's something that's been really important to me and something that kind of like helps me get through the day. So that's kind of it. I don't really know what this video is, but I just wanted to sit down and talk and just kind of like get thoughts out, but all...
Yeah, I get that, Jack. That's the exact same reason why I'm doing this video, is to get thoughts out and to just speak my mind to other people and just let them know that it's okay to struggle with things and it's okay to overthink and everything like that. Like, there, as Jack earlier said, is that there is tons, millions of people out there all around the globe right now going through almost very similar things to you, or the exact same things for that matter and everything. Which is why I wanted to come out here as well and just speak out about myself, so people can understand me better for the way I am and for the way I have been doing content and everything. I've been on the internet for is it 8 years now almost, which is a lot of time. Technically, this channel is created since 2014, 2013, but that was just to watch stuff back then. But still, like, I've been on the internet for so long to know that there is horrible things that's going on, and that people do suffer from mental health issues and other struggles. And I just want to say that it's okay to speak that out, if it's allowed, of course. But like, if you speak it out, you will feel better, because I feel a touch better just letting people know how I feel and how I've felt during 2024, because it hasn't been great this year.
Also, to talk about Thankmas, December 6th, it'll be in person. We'll have 2 shows at the Orpheum Theatre in LA on December 6th. There's an early show and a later show. They'll be slightly different from each other, like they were last year. It will also be streamed, of course, but we have seats to sell, and
if I am lucky enough, I will go to Thankmas to see it. If you're going there, you can say hi to Jack, say hi to me if you want. If you just say hi to people, it brightens up their day a lot, let me tell you. Like, if a random person just comes to me and says hi, like, hi, or just, I know you from somewhere, or you're that guy and everything, it brightens up my whole day, and it makes me feel a lot better.
I would love to see so many people at the show in person, because I'm trying to reinforce that idea of community and coming together and being in the same place as one another, and like seeing each other face to face and not just dealing with each other on the internet all the time, I think is a really big thing for this current climate we're in. And I care very, very deeply about mental health, and I always have. I
do as well.
I want to raise awareness for it. I want to try and raise as much money as we can for it, to train more counselors for both of these organizations, and just try and make the world just that tiny bit better. We've raised $26 million, and I'm hoping that we can join in and raise money for it if you want to, with your own communities. You can come and see the show live if you want to, with your friends or on your own. There will be tons of people that you can make friends with. Just please spread the word that it's happening. I want more people to know about that it's going on.
I have, Jack. This is a thing that's been out now, the way I just did it. So yeah, because the main reason I've been feeling down a lot is because of all the allegations and all the shit I've done during this year and the previous years, all the mistakes and the allegations that are going around and everything like that is all taking a massive toll on me. But as long as you speak it out, it feels a lot better inside, at least. I don't know if you can tell by the length of this video. I wanted to talk about it a lot because I feel like it helps me in general figure stuff out and everything like that. So yeah, go and join Thankmas. It's December 6th. Go to the socials that is going to be pinned in the descriptions. In the description, you can go to the socials there. Contact me if you need to. Watch more videos and something like that. So yeah, I am going to go and play BeamNG a little bit more, because that's one of the games I play a lot of. Because it's my dream to just be able to drive a car and everything like that. I hope this video also have helped you ever so slightly to figure out the way that you are and the way you want to be and everything like that. And it's okay to feel. Like, you can think whatever you want. Like, you can feel how you want to feel. Like, there is a lot of people that feel a lot of different stuff, and we all have different perspectives on things. But at the end of the day, we are really all just humans now. We have a hard time or an easy time understanding one another. So just talk with a friend, your parents, whatever you can to make you feel happy as well. So that's the reason I came on here, because it hasn't been great, and I want to reinforce myself, but also other people better, to make a better world that's a bit better. I hope you guys have understood a little bit of the way I feel, and I hope you can find yourself in the same place. I hope this video helped you, even just a fraction, as much as it helped me today. And with that, I say goodbye.